Hey, everybody. Good
Like,
morning, good afternoon. My name is Jason Flame, host of the Master Motivation Podcast, and I am excited for today's show. Let me introduce you to our guest. This is Master Mary Beth Klock Perez. Her journey began in the martial arts with a random meeting between her father and Grand Master Jhoon Rhee in a Washington airport. In 1988, she founded Better Families through Taekwondo in Miami, Florida, after traveling and training directly with Jhoon Rhee himself. Currently a six-dan master, in the 80s, few, if any, women owned martial arts schools. It was a male-dominated industry that came with the obstacles and challenge. Challenge accepted. Better Families became one of the top schools in the U.S. and known for the quality and sharpness of their black belts. 1,200 plus students have tested to black belt, and 23 to date have been promoted to the master level. She is a featured speaker for United Professionals in both the US and the UK. She is also a recipient of 2 mayor proclamations and the prestigious Diamond Award. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great.
I
How
saw
are
you.
you?
I saw you. I saw
Did
you
you see me dancing?
dancing. Yes, I saw you
That was a
dancing.
really good video.
Thank you. I always get a kick out of when the intro gets everybody fired up. I always
I
get a
didn't know
little
I was on
goosebumps
camera,
too.
but I was like,
I could see
from
you.
Miami.
I don't think everybody else saw you, but I saw you.
Okay.
So hey, we're getting ready to have some fun, and we're going to talk all about your history and your background. So why don't you kick it off and just let everybody know a little bit more about who you are, where you're from, your background, childhood, and we'll just kind of roll from there.
Well, my family came from Philadelphia. We moved to Miami when I was 6. And my childhood really was riding horses and climbing trees and racing dirt bikes. That was really my thing. And how I really got started in the martial arts was this random meeting my father had with Grand Master Jhoon Rhee. So he was listening to Zig Ziglar, and my dad said, "Hey, you listen to Zig?" And that started their conversation. My dad was a motivational speaker. So Grandmaster gave him a tour of all the schools. My dad came back and gave me tickets to go to Jacksonville to a seminar. My exact words were, "Dad, I'm not putting on a pair of pajamas and jumping around and screaming." That was my mom said, "No, Mary Beth, you got to go. There's something there for you." At the time, I was managing health clubs and gyms and, really helping people to get to their goals and fitness and balance in their lives. But the first day of the seminar with Grandmaster Jhoon all was philosophy, the joy of discipline, setting goals, building confidence, honesty, integrity. And I was like, my mom was right. This is it. And then the next day was actually the martial arts. And I was never super coordinated. I was just a tomboy horse riding kid. But martial arts is so systematic, and it breaks down one thing, especially in the Jhoon Rhee system. One thing leads to the next. And I was practicing and stretching, and Grandmaster Jhoon Rhee walked into the hotel practice area, and he said, "You're going to be one of my very best black belts." Wow. And I'm a very visual person. So in my mind was a whole room of white doors that were closed in a circle, and they just went, and they all opened just when he said that. And I realized that so many of us have, we put limitations on what we can do. Like in elementary, you need to go 6 laps. And I'd think, I know I can do 4. Or, you have to do this many, hold the bar this long. Well, I know I can do it this long. But I think that the martial arts really breaks down those barriers of possibilities, because how many people think they can become a black belt? I mean, it's not easy. Is it possible?
Not
yeah.
Easy.
And what's the trick? Like, don't give up. Stop whining. Just get it done. One step at a time, one stripe at a time, one belt at a time. It's not like this goal of black belt. That's big. And I think that it really teaches people that whatever their dreams are and whatever their goals are, of course, is possible. You just don't quit because everybody else does.
Right.
Right. And
that's right.
That just works in our favor.
Yep. Well, I love the last line of our student creed. Winners never quit, quitters never win. I choose to win. And winning can be a choice, right?
Winning's always a choice. My mom gave me the best advice, and everybody should follow it. It's not about people were always like, well, it's just, the principle of it. No, it's about winning. But what do you want to win? So if you're having an argument with somebody, the principle is you were right. No, what do you really want to win? Peace, understanding, friendship. Let's move past this thing, right? So that's winning. So like I always stop and think to myself, what is winning here? And winning is not just what I get, because if you don't get what you want, then we're not happy. You have to find a way to win where everybody wins in some manner or another. That's how you accomplish everything, because people help you. People help you because they like you.
Right. Well, hey, tell me more about living in Philadelphia. The first thing that comes in my mind, right? I think Philadelphia, I think Rocky Balboa.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. I
Right?
think it was like,
Love it.
I think they didn't come out before that time. But when I went back to visit, I definitely did the steps and did the punches and did the whole thing. But
Yeah.
I mean, I was 6, so I just remember being cloudy and dark. And I remember my friend's house that had cookies and a hamster on a wheel, but that's about it. I
Yeah.
really grew up in Miami.
And what
Miami
was it?
rocks.
I'm sorry?
Miami rocks.
Miami rocks.
Yeah, it's like the sky is pretty much clear the majority of the year, and the weather is, I mean, this year is hot for everybody, but Miami's beautiful. The skies, it's pretty clean. And like when people talk about like where people are friendly wherever you go if you're friendly. And people are like rude and not social wherever you go if you're rude and not social yourself. Sorry for those people that like using that, but that is the truth. That is my belief.
Well, I'm over here on the opposite end of the country. I'm in California. You're in Miami. And I think, California is pretty darn cool too, right? I've lived here all 49 years of my life for with the exception of about 18 months, I think.
But I rode in one of your parades there, one of your Los Angeles parades on a black horse.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'll send you pictures later.
All right. I've definitely seen a lot of pictures. We'll talk about, riding horses and stuff, but tell me more about, so you moved from Philadelphia, you moved to Miami, and you really just you grew up there, right? That's where most of your memories and most of your life is. Tell us more about Miami and what you love about it. Obviously, like you said, the weather, but what were some good memories growing up that you have?
What I've always loved about Miami is, besides the weather, because I don't like being cold, is the diversity. Like when I go to an area and everybody looks the same, everybody's the same thinking, religion, it like scares me. Like I like to have diversity. I like to have different languages and different food and different dance and different opinions. And Miami is just a melting pot of everybody. I mean, you never know what language you're going to hear. And I love that. Like I love how the changes and the opportunities, there's so many cultural things that you can see, art museums and shows. And then you can have the beach, and then you can have, like, we live in a very agricultural, rural area of Miami in the South. So we're on 5 acres with horses. So a lot of things are possible in Miami, and a lot of things happen, a lot of opportunity for business. I mean, it's a transient place too, because you'll have people, probably California as well. People move in and out, and people move to different countries, and that's just part of it. But I love the diversity is what I like.
And tell me about, going to school and did you play sports? As you rode horses, we know that, right? Did you play other sports activities? What were your hobbies, things that you like to get into?
Really, I rode horses and climbed trees. I raced Yamaha 80 mini bike, like in the dirt. And in school, I really didn't do any organized sports or anything like that. I was really good at the arm hang and the fitness test. I like the physical fitness test, but I literally, my house was in Coral Gables, which no horses. And then there was Sunset Drive and then unincorporated Dade. So I would cross the street in the morning, feed my horse, climb the chain link fence, go to school, come back, repeat, and come in when it was dark. That was my childhood.
Yeah. And what were your goals?
Go ahead.
What were your goals in high school? Like what did you want to be when you grew up? Like what were your thoughts?
I won't grow up. Okay, no. We'll skip that part. I was the editor of yearbook. I like writing. I did try to make the pep club cool. That did not work, but I tried. But I think really I liked English. When I went to college, I was English major, and I minored in business just because I thought it would make my family happy. And when I got into business, I loved it. It was small business management. And I realized, when you hear people say, well, it was just business. It is never just business. It is always people. No people, no business. So when people say they made a decision because it was all about business, Well, it's really a cop out because business is people. So when I was going to college and learning about small business management and learning about, different demographics and knowing what you were providing and who would need that, and putting yourself in a position like with a school, when I opened the school, I found a location that was where there was wealthy people, where there was middle class people, where there was people that didn't have anything. I was kind of in the crossroads. Why? Because with the strength of people that can pay, you can help the people that are in middle class people can do their deal, but then you can also offer scholarship programs to people that just ordinarily wouldn't be able to take the martial arts. Like a kid that came over from Guantanamo Bay. My husband, Grand Master Diego, saw him walking in the streets and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he said, "I'm here from Guantanamo Bay." He didn't speak English. And my husband gave him a scholarship for a couple months and then told his family, whatever you can pay after that, we'll honor. So we thought, they just got here from Cuba, $10, right? I think they offered $50 a month. And that kid right now has his own school. He's married with kids in North Carolina, I think.
Wow. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. Well, I think your daughter's on here. Karen Torres says, "Go mom." She's watching.
Oh, she's a master. She's running the school right now.
Good for her.
Yeah, she's trying to take over the world. She's been managing the school for many years. And then she was out because her and her husband opened a free running and parkour gym. And since January, she's back, and I mean, it's hopping in there. She's got music and all kinds of programs and seminars, and she's like the retail guru.
Nice.
She's changing things all the time. She's amazing.
Good stuff. Well, thank you, Karen, for watching. And I think we had another viewer earlier. We had Adam watching as well. If you guys have any questions, Adam, Karen, anybody else that's watching live, if you have any questions, please drop those in the comments, and also just let us know that you're watching. But we'll continue with telling your story here. We're kind of at that point of like, middle school, high school. We're going off to college.
Oh, wait, before you
go ahead.
Adam was watching, wanted to know if I had his water, no days off. And he's actually got this incredible water and product. So I'm sorry, Adam, I don't have it. But no days off, guys. Check it. It's got a big black pit bull on it. And he's like the water for the Marlins. It's like a new company that's like kicking. So there, I did it. I don't have the bottle though. I can.
Awesome. Well, so I wanted to talk about, college. I often ask guests, did you go to college because you had to go to college, or because you felt like you had to go to college, or because you wanted to go to college?
The first two. I really was kind of like in a student in school. Like in high school, eventually got into AP classes. And then I loved school because it was interesting and fascinating and people with great minds and great questions. But like rudimentary knowledge is exhausting for me and boring. But in college, I really went because I was supposed to go and I thought I should go. So, but I think it really changed my whole manner of thinking. Everything I look at, I think in a business perspective where I would have never. And I honestly really just took business because I knew it was what my family would think was a good idea.
Right.
It was.
And by the way, Diego is watching now too. So give a shout out to Diego.
Is that Diego Klock Perez, my son?
Diego Perez. That's your boy too?
Yeah. So I've got Karen.
All your kids are watching.
Richard is my oldest and super awesome marketer. And then Diego Klock Perez helped me set up this because otherwise we wouldn't see each other right now.
And then we have another viewer. I don't know the name. It's NWSA Ninja, but says business is people. And that was kind of going off of what you were saying a few minutes ago, is that it's business, quote, it's business is not your thing. Business is people. So people. I agree with that too, by the way. Yeah. Can't do business without
my son
other people.
Diego Klock Perez is NWSA Ninja.
Oh, okay.
We know.
There we go. So we're talking about college. So you went to college because you thought you had to, and that was the decision you made. But it turns out that it was a good decision. Helped you kind of start your career. When did martial arts come into play? At what age?
I think I was 25. I was 25. Managing health clubs at the time. And actually, I was selling real estate before that because my family's real estate people. So I got my license and I started to do I think I was too young to really understand what people's needs were. But I have all, like, since I was a little kid, riding my horse, talking to older people. I used to go to a nursing home with my pony tied outside and go in there and talk to the people for hours and steal things from my house and decorate their place. I've always been fascinated with people and all ages. Like, it's not just kids. I think adults are just grown-up kids. And the older people are the most fun because they just like to say it straight. I'm a very straight talker, so I like older people because they don't hold back. They just say it like it is.
Right. Right. Wouldn't that be nice if more people did
It
that?
just saves time, right?
Right.
Saves time. Oh, George Tercia. He's a black belt in our school. We've got all kinds of black belts on here watching.
That's cool. That's cool. And Diego Senior is also watching. That's who that was
that is
the other
my
one.
cute Puerto Rican husband.
I
I imported him from Puerto Rico. Not
all
just
right.
horses that I import, it's husbands. He actually, I had the school a couple of years before I met him, and his school came over to ours to practice before they went to this big national tournament because he was this undefeated full contact, cool Caribbean dude. And that's where I met him. And he said to his friend in the Bayamon airport in Puerto Rico, I'm going to Miami to meet the mother of my child.
That sounds straight out of a movie right there.
It is. And then when I'm walking across the floor, he said, that's her. And I didn't speak Spanish and he didn't speak English. I mean, at all.
Wow.
It was perfect. I'm kidding.
Wow.
So it's like, what? Like, our anniversary was yesterday, 33 years. So
congratulations.
Somehow, I guess his plan worked.
Happy anniversary.
I know. It was awesome.
All right. Well, Adam's watching again. He said Team Siegel is watching. So shout out to them again. Hey, thank you guys all for commenting and being part of the conversation. Once again, would love to know if you guys have any questions because, you know, this interview is for everybody else out there. I'm having a great time getting to know you a little bit better. And, you know, you came highly recommended by Master Greg Silva. And after I spoke with him and had a really good interview, he said that you'd be a great person to bring on the show. So I'm happy to have you here and continue telling your story. And so we're at that point where, you know, you're about 25, you're getting involved in martial arts. Earlier you said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing karate because I'm not wearing pajamas, right? But
jumping around and screaming.
Jumping around and screaming. So what now? What was it that hooked you into martial arts?
Because it was a vehicle in which to change lives. So I was doing it with, I thought in real estate, I could do that through getting a new home. And I thought in the gym, I could do that through getting their goals. I actually had my cosmetology license back in the day as well. I thought the same thing there. But here in a martial arts school, like people that go to church, because I was Catholic, went to church. It's like we be in the parking lot and people beat each other off to get in line. I to my parents, didn't they just go to church? And they laugh. So like once a week, it's great to have faith in something higher. And I think faith is super important. But I think in the martial arts, you have a chance to influence people and their character on a more frequent, consistent basis. So we see them 2 to 3 times a week. We're working on character education to move up in rank. And who sits around and just talks about setting goals and not quitting? Who talks about work ethic, about honesty, and about, you know, hey, chicken, just say the truth. Just say it. You know, the truth is really such a powerful, it's like having a really high power. You know, when you say something, know that it's the truth because you've got it triggered. And so I think that we're teaching honesty and integrity, and we're teaching not to quit. And we're teaching, like, you know, you got to work hard to get things. It's to get a black belt. Like the requirements that it takes in our school to get to black belt, pretty awful, actually. I mean, like the amount of push-ups and sit-ups and running, they have to be on the on honor roll in school. And this, plenty of our black belts that got up to the level, not plenty of them, we're getting a couple getting all D's and all F's. And because we required them to get honor roll and achieve honor roll, one of those guys that was getting really horrific is his own law firm now, and a family, and just had 2 babies and a gorgeous. Like, what would happen if we had taught them martial arts skills, but not that aspect? Education is important. Your mind is our student creed from Grand Master Jhoon Rhee is knowledge in the mind, honesty in the heart, strength in the body. So it's like a 3-legged table, right? So if you take out, that guy was strong and he was fast, so he had, strength in the body, and he was a good human being, but he didn't have knowledge in the mind. So you can be strong and a good human being, but you're like, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to get what you don't know about. You don't need how to find people, things that you don't know how to do. Education, two things are helpful to you. If you got a great education, then you're dangerous, And if you've got a great mind and good character, but then an education, but your health is bad. You don't move, you don't exercise, you're not getting enough rest, you're not educating your nutrition. Things are really critical. Might structural people so they could go great things. So the originally going to name it Better Children Through Taekwondo. So I'm with my niece, who now is some superstar that has a school and has a whole city she saved in Haiti. She's like 7. So I say, Kristen, I'm thinking of naming the school Better Children Through Taekwondo. What do you think? And she says, no, Aunt Mary Beth, that name's no good. And I'm like, what do you mean it's no good? It's amazing. She said, nope, because if the children are no good, the family's no good. And if the family's no good, the community's no good. And if the community is no good, the world's no good. That was out of a 7-year-old's mouth. Mm-hmm. So it's better families through Taekwondo. And not everybody, a lot of families training together, but even people who come as a single person, we become everyone in the family, someone helping, sick, they're in the hospital and groceries. We to take care of each other. And I had a girl back 30 years ago. She lives in Switzerland now and with her kids. We have more people come back with their own children that started as children. Like, I'm wondering who it was back there. It couldn't have been me. I think it was.
Yeah.
But it's
that's awesome. So sorry to cut you off. For those of you that are watching, you guys may be kind of catching a little glitch in the internet connection. So I'm hearing you for almost every sentence coming through, but some of you that are watching, it might catch itself back up because sometimes it just catches on a little bit stronger. But how does everything sound on your side? Can you hear me okay? Perfect. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm just getting you just a little glitchy. How about
sometimes
now?
I saw the screen go out like right now. It's just, but I continued to hear you.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Well, let's stay on track. And by the way, a bunch of people still commenting and coming back, people checking in from Better Families, the Ivy League of martial arts schools. And then George also said that a high percentage of the whole family is joining in. Special kids are part of the program. So you got a lot going on. What I heard is earlier, we were talking about, martial arts versus religion, or sometimes martial arts and religion are almost put in the same category, right? Because we really have the ability to impact the lives of our students, but also, the lives of the entire family through martial arts. Because when the child changes, now mom and dad are actually trying to reinforce the habits, or, little Johnny starts working out and maybe mom or dad are thinking, gosh, maybe I should work out a little bit more to be the better example.
School, they're all on we have a lot of they get all the way to we have a lot of adults because over there we're like, hey, you're coming here anyways, you gotta work anyways. And when they're not mom, they're not dad, they're not wife, there's no correction on kids. I say, mom, if your kid's on the floor doing the wrong thing, it's not your kid this hour. So we have a lot of families because it's not just the kid. When there's a problem with the kid with behavior wise, like 3-year-olds seem to be my specialty for some reason. It's really has so much to do with how the family's interacting and what they're doing. The kid's screaming and the mom's petting them. Well, you're rewarding that. So it really help to strengthen. And also, you've heard people say kids don't come with, well, they're not easy, but we're actually professionals with kids, aren't we? And adults, come on, they're just like kids, right? Want recognition, want to have fun, want to feel like they're adults don't want to make mistakes in front of other people. And, and the same thing, adults have to learn not to quit. Who's going to quit sooner, an adult or a kid? Adult. Oh, I'm so busy with work. Oh, I have so many things to do. The dads will say this, or moms, and I'll say, okay, can you do martial arts at 2:00 in the afternoon? Well, no, I'm at work. Okay, that won't work. Can you do it at 4:00? Yeah, no, I'm at work. Okay. So what you do when someone says to you, can we have a meeting tomorrow at 6:00? You say, oh, I'm not available at 6. They don't even know you're doing the martial arts. You just plug it in your calendar, just like you plug in anything else, because your health is really important. And, parents be on the same level until after and have the house or kick or accomplish that push up or learn that next belt rank. So I think it really gives a relationship a lot of strength. And even families that, we've got families that have been through divorces or in a divorce or contentious, we help them with that as well, because I'll hear one spouse or another saying terrible things about their ex. And I'll just say, excuse me, but are we talking about 50% of your son's DNA right now? Because they're doing it in front of the kid. So I will correct them, because they sometimes don't realize that, that it's hard for the kid to be in the middle of that. So when I say better families, it's not just all families that happen to be lucky enough to be together, but we have a lot of families that are, divorced. So that's a new reality of having to learn how to navigate that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Now, going back, you were talking about you would go into nursing homes, or you would go and talk with older people, and then later, you said martial arts was really just your vehicle for changing lives. Where did this passion for helping others come from? Changing lives, talking with older people. Where did that come from? Was that taught to you by your parents? Was it something that was just kind of you were born with?
I do think I was born as a fighter. Pretty sure my hands were up when I was born. I've always been that kind of personality. But my father was a motivational speaker, and he did something called Maximins: be all that you can be, that you want to be. And it was a video, an audio, and I would listen to it all the time. So I think it shaped my thinking in terms of possibilities and using positive thinking. Like, I'm a person that's all about results. So if negative feedback worked, I'm ashamed to say I might use it, but I'm about results. It doesn't work, because when you correct people in a negative way, all they're doing is focusing on the mistake instead of. I was listening briefly with Dave Kovar, who I met back in the day when Grand Master Jhoon Rhee went to a Sacramento school before he started making all the changes. I have some funny stories. And when he was saying is that, it's really important with kids and people to set a new bar for them, and for them to, see different possibilities. And a lot of times parents come in with kids that are disrespectful or disorganized or bad with the school. So they'll come in with a litany of all the things they're doing wrong. And then I stop and say, well, how invested are you in your children to continue doing that? Let's talk about what they want. So we set up systems of stars for them to, like, if your parents write a note, say you're saying yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. If you put your shoes away, if you're organized for school the next day, I said, your parents are accustomed to you being a baby. So you have to say, Mom, Dad, I am not a baby anymore. I need to do things by myself. And Master Perez told me I have to have self-discipline. So they get notes written by their mom and dad, third-party affirmation, right? And then they get to get stars and all kinds of accolades in front of the school. And that's also teaching kids, like, it's kind of cool to be in the front and get attention. It's kind of cool for me to be able to talk about what I did, public speaking, and in the martial arts, they have to do a speech to get their black belt. So we're teaching, you can have all the great ideas in the world, but if you don't have the skill set, the confidence, the knowledge of how to stand in front of other people and just explain your dreams or your ideas, they'll never come to fruition. So it's amazing how articulate the black belts in our school are, because we teach them about public speaking. So I would say, to answer your question about what motivated me, probably my dad's mentality. And he was a motivational speaker in the real estate industry. I'm the bottom of 8 kids, Catholic family. And my mom was like a business genius, like with real estate and decisions. She's very intense. I lost both my parents, but they're still like every part of my life. And when you have great parents, you're just really lucky, because that's like something of who you are and what you became, and they stay with you. The great ones, that's my opinion, the great ones stay with you in your life, everything you do. So in our school, it says I'm Klock Perez, so I have a huge 6 foot in diameter clock with Roman numerals, and it says Better Families Motivation Center, and then it says believe, visualize, do. Joe Klock, that's my dad, because that was his thing, like believe, visualize, do. So that is probably what made me believe that things are possible. But I hear so many people say things that I've never understood, like, oh, the economy's so bad, that can't happen. I'm like, when the economy changes, change, do something different. Right. There's a new opportunity. Like when COVID happened, we had to work 5 times harder for 5 times less, because that was just the way it is, by doing Zoom classes and mailing the little tapes for their belts and the cards and driving for graduation belt. We would take 3 hours driving and bring their belts and diplomas to them. So you have to change. And like Dave Kovar, when we went back, that was one of the first seminars I was training around the country with Grand Master Jhoon Rhee. And I was at Dave's school, and he was so funny. He said, I was always in martial arts and training, and then the phone would ring and I'd run over and I go, we're training right now, can you call back? And he says, and I'd hang up and go back to training. So, like, he's so funny. I love him. I mean, he's like the kind of guy that really, and like I heard him talking about praise, correct praise. I didn't know that came from him, but we use that. And that's so valuable. Like, you see some kid and they're just punching like that and it's just a hot mess. What can I find about that that's good, right? Okay, so Jonathan, you have a lot of speed. Do you want to make it look like a black belt? Yeah. Okay. So you're going to have to focus in, straight line, focus back, keep your speed. Let me see if you can focus out, focus in. Okay. Now you got, efficiency and focus like a black belt, and you still have that crazy speed. I want everyone to punch like Jonathan. So that is the praise, correct praise. And you get a lot of confidence, a lot of speed. And it's true, the kid's fast, but it was a hot mess. And now all the kids want to be like Jonathan. And then he feels this incredible pride. And then when we see his parents at the end of the class, it's like, did you see your son today in class? And they're thinking, I've seen him.
Uh-oh. What'd he do?
Yeah, and parents, what'd he do? And so I always say to the parents, I want to talk to you about your kid today. And they're all like, ah. And then I don't give them bad news, because my job is to make something positive happen, right? And then I tell them about the punch, or I tell them about the kick, or I tell them about a new choice that kid made. These parents are exhausted. And for me, if a teacher's coming to a parent to tell them the problem the kid has, why'd I come here? Why'd I come here? Aren't you supposed to be helping me with that? Like, why are you telling me the kid's problem? No, I want you to help me with that kid's focus. I want you to help me with his confidence. I want you to help him with his lack of respect. If I hear a mom say it's time to go and a kid's like, oh, I need to go over and do that. Oh, stop, sir. Excuse me. Let's try this one more time. Mom, can you ask him what you just asked him? And then you're going to answer like a black belt. Jonathan, it's time to go. Yes, ma'am. I give him a high five. I love that. That's amazing. Mom, if he does more of that, give me a note and we're going to have a star. And I said, we don't like what our parents tell us to do. I mean, what are they telling us to do? Do our homework, get dressed, take a shower, go to bed. I don't want to do any of those things. But your parents are there to help you grow. It's like a young tree. When you see them on the side of the road planted in California, you got palm trees, I guess. And there's always those 2 sticks, right? And those 2 sticks are our parents, they're our teachers, they're our society. Because without those 2 sticks, what happens to the palm tree? It grows crooked. Yeah, or it falls. It never gets the correct roots. It doesn't grow straight. So I tell the kids, your parents are here to help you grow straight, because some parents are lazy and they don't help you grow straight. And then you grow into a really annoying adult, right? You met them, right? You met them. Really annoying adults that are like sarcastic all the time. They're disrespectful. They think they're funny and they're not funny. And I said, your parents are helping you grow up. So you grow up and people are really inspired and happy to be around you. And like the thing I think about going into the nursing homes was, I've always loved old people. I think my great aunt lived with us and I took care of her. And there was a nursing home by our house and the families never went. they just never went. So these poor people would be in there and it smelled terrible in there. And I would just go in there and talk to them and hear their stories or put little bird feeders because no one was talking to them. I can't imagine like I'd let my parents or grandparents be there and never, I mean, you would never see anyone visiting, never. And so like I would go and I would talk to them or I'd snork things from my house and decorate. And there's this one lady, like they said, don't go in that room. And I'm like, why? Just don't. She's got a bad attitude. So of course I went. Oh, she was my favorite.
Another challenge.
Oh no, she was so bad. She was just like, she used the worst language. Like she cussed about everything and that. It was awesome. I was like, she's like George Carlin. She's just like cuss about everything. You know what I mean? I loved her. And then she would say all these naughty things that nobody else would say to me because I was like 9 or 10. And I'm like, I'm getting an education early because like, you did what? You know, she was terrible. But I think it's really important to honor the people in all stages in their lives, you know, and elderly people is, you know, my mom and dad recently passed and I probably blocked out a good 6 years of at the school, taking care of the horses and still there 40 hours a week somehow, you know, because it's an honor. It's an honor because my whole life I would think, what could I possibly give back to people like this? You know, like they raised 8 kids and everybody's like at the top of their field. That doesn't normally happen. You usually have a few, you know, mess ups, but no, everybody's amazing. And I always thought like, I'll never have anything to be able to give back for what they've done for me. And then I got that honor and it's an honor, you know, to take care of them and be there. And we would bring entertainment and our kids would come in and sing and my husband would sing and we'd just to make their lives better. So I think,
and of course you're carrying on their legacy as well, right? When they pass and you continue to give your children or other children in your school the lessons that mom and dad raised you with and that environment that helped you to grow, like you said, grow straight, you're helping other
they
parents.
They tried.
Now, what I love that you said was that, you know, when we were talking about, you know, children and corrections and focusing on, you know, what they did wrong. I mean, you know, it really just comes down to rather than focusing on the problem, focusing on the solution. You brought up COVID, which, you know, everybody will talk about all day long. And you can complain about it until you're blue in the face. But at the end of the day, complaining about it isn't going to get it done, isn't going to take you to the next level. And I mean, if you're going to complain about anything, I mean, either pack it in or
it's exhausting.
Get going. Yeah, just get going, right? And focus on the solution. Now, I want to go back a little bit and talk about, you know, opening your school, right? Because every martial artist has a story about how they opened their school and some of the challenges that you faced at that time and how you overcame those challenges.
I think my story is pretty much unique because most people are already a martial artist and already a black belt, but I literally met Grand Master in that Tallahassee seminar, which was for business professionals, by the way, lawyers, doctors, and accountants. And then I was like, I love this. I want to do this. So it was actually a bit in reverse. I traveled around the country and all the seminars, including at the Kovars and everyone, people were already black belts and masters. And then there was me, white belt. And Grandmaster would say, you know, it's easier to teach her than it is to teach black belts and masters because she's got an empty glass and I can fill it. But it's hard to have somebody that is knowledgeable. The guards out here, but Grand Master Jhoon Rhee is like this Bruce Lee because he was his friend and they combined their styles. So I was learning from white all the way up to black in a matter of like 6 months. I didn't test, but I had the knowledge. I actually had to test with Grand Master Jhoon Rhee by videotapes. He lived in Washington. So I would send him a videotape of me doing it. He'd get on the phone and correct me. And then I have to send him a new video. And that's how I did it.
Yeah, well, just imagine if, you know, now with the invention of the internet and all
that would have been amazing.
It
and on top of
so
it, I'm
easier,
dyslexic. Right? I'm dyslexic, so I'd be looking at the video going, so I'd
have to watch it in a mirror.
No, I would get in front of the TV and then turn around and look backwards. And then it was, but I think that when you have challenges learning, it makes you a better instructor. Because when I see a class of 30 students, I know there's 30 learning styles there. So somebody I might need to verbalize it and do it. Some people I need to they get it auditory, like very few. Some people have to be on the left-hand side, some people on the right-hand side. So we have so many students that come. Every ADHD person in the world has been recommended and referred to our school.
Mm-hmm.
I deserve that. We have adults with Down syndrome. We have a lot of autism, which I don't know. I've seen so much progress with autism in the world. We have kids that have gone all the way to black belt. We have cerebral palsy, gone all the way to black belt. And I mean, go all the way to black belt, board breaking, know their forms. When I look at an adult, I don't think, oh, they can't do it well because they're an adult. When I go to any schools around the country and I see their adults, if they don't look as good as the rest of the students, it's a disservice. Because as an adult, when you're doing something wonky, So if I see adults kind of, flailing and not, I'm like, no. You have to block and stop. You have to hit that target. They have to have the same precision. Do they have to kick vertical? Well, no. Do they have to hit heavy bags if they've got knee surgery? No. But do they have to do it accurately and correctly and with good transitions? Yes. Mm-hmm. And can they do it? It's not the question if they can do it. The question is, are you able to teach that? So you have to find a different way. And adults come with a lot more anxiety and trauma about learning.
Yeah. So you say that the biggest obstacle that you had in opening your school was the fact that you weren't already a black belt and you didn't have all of the experience as, quote unquote, typical, get your first degree black belt, teach in your instructor school.
I actually had a black belt when I opened the school.
Okay.
It was an ex-husband that was a really awful human being. And so 4 months into opening the school, he did something really awful. So I had to get rid of him on a Friday. And then on Saturday, I was like, you need to cancel that introductory because I don't know what to do. And my dear friend, she said, well, we can't do that, man, because they just walk through the door. And I'm like, she goes, it's easy. Just do the student creed, explain that, do front punch, back punch, front kick, do the x-ray target kick and the self-defense. So I'm sitting there and I'm doing the intro and there's 15 people sitting around listening to me. And I was like, I can do this, and then this guy was very bad. So I was kind of running for my life, et cetera. So I would go teach class and then I go in the bathroom, I look in the mirror and I would just cry. And then I wipe my face, go, okay, everybody. And I teach a class. I think for 9 months I did that. Every class. I go in the bathroom, have a little tiny pity party and then go out. So at the end of the month, when I went to the accountants, I said, look, I'm so sorry. I normally am very meticulous about all my entries. I didn't enter anything, no deposits. It's a hot mess. She goes, Mary Beth. I go, no, really, I'm doing my best. She goes, Mary Beth, you've done 4 times more than any other month you've done. So our best month before the monster dude left was 4,000. And I did 12,000. Teaching, crying. Because, I was like, I had a reason to have a good pity party, but it was tough. And then when I was going to the seminars, that, if you ever have a problem, you call, and then we'll bring instructors and help you. Oh, no, that was not exactly, nope. They did not send any because my ex did some bad stuff, so they didn't want anything to do with it. And I said, well, what happened for right, and we'll have your back. But I was like, they didn't. So somebody called from Puerto Rico and he said, my brother can come teach. And at this point, if it was male, I was not really interested in trusting or liking or wanting them near me. And I was like, thank you so much, but I don't have the money to have them come here. I don't have the money to put them in an apartment. And it was funny because that was actually my husband that he was offering to send over that I met 3 years later. But I'm glad I didn't, because when I met him, I had 300 students. And the school was one of the top schools in Miami, in the area. But it was difficult because back then there were no, not that I care, there were no women black belts. There were no women school owners that I knew. I knew of Joyce Santa Maria was a master somewhere in the country. I remember going to EFC and she spent the whole speech saying, I know you think you can't do this, but you got to let go in order to go. I know that you think you're the best one to answer the phone. I'm thinking, I am. You got to let go in order to grow. She must have said that 20 times during her speech, and I needed to hear it 20 times. As a real, but she's the only one I knew anywhere that was a woman. When I go to tournaments, they would say, I know everybody like gives you a hard time and gives you a lot of pressure, but behind the scenes, they're all really proud of how great your school is. And because I was a woman, and I looked at them, I go, oh, I had no idea they felt that way. Well, I'm glad they have a good like, and my school was right next to a moose lodge. You know what a moose lodge is?
I do.
Okay. So women cannot be members, anyone of color. If you're Jewish, you just look the whole list of who cannot go in that door. So I'm leaving one night and I'm locking, and this guy's coming out, this old rednecker. He's coming out and he looks at me and he literally spits on the ground by my foot. And he says, no woman has a right to take a business from a man. And I looked at him and I was like, to myself, I said, well, thank you very much, sir, for the permission to take over your lease. Because this is what my mom taught me. It's about winning. What are you going to say to someone like that? What are you going to say? So I locked my door. I stepped over the spit. And 3 years later, I had his lease. Yeah. So it's like and when you would go to conventions and seminars, there was a lot of sexist things being said left and right and this and that. This one guy was in a speech, and I won't mention him, and they wanted to know what his secret was to a better net profit. And he opens it up and he says, well, I'll tell you my number one reason is I took the credit card away from my wife. And I'm in the second row and I raised my hand. He goes, yes, ma'am. And I said, isn't your wife's school number 1 and your school's number 3 this month? Everybody started laughing and everybody started clapping. And he looked at me, he goes, yes, ma'am. And you would be right. Yeah. Yeah. And so but it's the white elephant in the room. Did I spend my time saying, oh, it's not fair because I'm a woman? No. Do you have to work harder? Do you have to prove yourself better? Yeah. So what? Do it. Like, you'll never hear me. People would say, oh, you're like a go woman go. And I'm like, no, I'm go woman go, go man go kid go dog go. It's like, for me, it's not about woman power. It's about everybody having the ability to do their best or have their say. But the martial arts industry back then, there were not women black belts. There was not women in schools. And I had a speech that I had to do one time. It wasn't Grand Master Silva's amazing UP. It was the other one. And I'm ready to go up. There's like 1,000 people in the room where you're doing a speech with a light in your face. You can't even see the audience. I don't like that. And I'm getting ready to walk in. And the guy that was the head number 1 guy in the school and the whole system, he looks me up and down. And he goes, you look great in that outfit. Like, really creepy. Like, instead of like, hey, you're going to knock it out of the park. You're going to be great. No, he said this really slimy, creepy thing. And I walked out of the back where I was supposed to go up. I walked down the corridor of the hotel. I ripped all my notes. I don't normally have notes, but I had notes. And I threw them in the garbage. And I walked back. And they're freaking out. Where'd you go? And I go, no, I just need to go to the bathroom. And I walked out and I was so angry. And I said, they asked me to come here and tell you, how do I have so many women in our school? Well, I'm here to ask you, how'd you get all those men? How'd you get those men? I imagine they walked in your school and you gave them a firm handshake. You didn't just grab 4 of their fingers. I imagine they looked out on the floor and they saw people just like them. There were black belts, there were instructors, there were program directors. And I said, that's how we have women in school, because we respect them. We don't have girl push-ups. We don't have, all these concessions. Like, when you're doing fighting and you only put women with women, what are you telling them? You can't defend yourself against a man. Who's going to attack a woman? Not another woman. So I think it's really important. And like, I don't think that we had a lot of women in our school just because of me. My husband, Grand Master Diego now, treated women like they trained the same way, with respect. And there wasn't like, here, let me show you how to do it. No. The women, the same as the men, the same kind of respect, same kind of push-ups, same kind of running, same kind of everything. And we have, I think, 23 masters, and more than half of those are women. And if they don't own their own school now, they're still in our school. The majority. One might be watching, Nicole Plummer.
Yeah, she is. Actually, Nicole is watching. And,
She's like a four-time world champion.
It's hard for me to really understand because, number one, I didn't even start martial arts until 1985, opened my school in 91. I came up in a system where women were highly respected. I had several female instructors, super strong, super, great influence on me, on my teaching. And I remember always hearing so often, and still to this day in my school, it's hard for me to say, there's women in class and there's men in class. I mean, there's just students in class. Like for me, it's always kind of been that way. That's how I was raised. That's how I was trained. And so, just listening to your perspective and, your history and your story. I mean,
that was California, right?
I'm in California.
Yeah. I think it might have a different energy there or something.
Maybe.
Or it depends on who your instructor was, but there wasn't one in my demographics in the area of the schools that I saw around the country. It was pretty much all kids and mostly male. Mm-hmm. There might be one student under black belt that's a woman, and there might be in a school one black belt. But if you go to our classes, there could be 30 people in the class that are black belts and half or more are women. Mm. I mean, it's not really a thing anymore, but believe me, I will tell you back then it was a thing. It was a thing. There were when I made that speech, people were arguing with each other. It was like a big thing. It was I have a video. I'm at a tape. I got to listen to it. But that year, there was no program directors or instructors that were women at all. The following year at their awards ceremony, all the program directors, a lot were women, and they were like kicking all the sales. I mean, if you have women in your school, like if you have just all men in your school, if they come in and you have like old pads, might smell a little bit, the decor is this black and red and everything's the same for a million years, do guys care?
Probably not.
No, they don't care. The bathrooms aren't updated. They don't care. But a woman comes into your school, it better be clean. It better look well organized. You better have your classes on time. Those bathrooms better be pristine, right? Mm-hmm. So when you have women in your school, we always had women in our school. They were just sitting in the chairs waiting for their kids. But I think when you have women in your schools, it's powerful because, like, if you go to do a new activity, let's say you start learning, what is that new paddleball thing they all do?
Pickleball.
Pickleball. So you go to do pickleball. You come back and somebody will say, "What were you doing this weekend?" "Oh, I was trying out this new thing. It was pretty cool." But if a woman goes to pickleball, "Oh, I'm doing pickleball. You have to go." Like she's going to force you, your wife, your kids, you all going to have to do pickleball. These women force people to do what they're doing. They go to work and they talk about what they do. A man, let's say he's like in a business professional, whatever office, he's not going to come in and start talking about he did martial arts. He's not going to. He's just going to do his work. I got to go to the gym. He's not going to say, "I'm a brown belt," or "I'm a blue belt," or "You should come check this out. I just started." But women are going to tell everybody and make them go and make their, Matthew has a really bad attitude. He could really use the respect and the discipline of the martial arts. Women are really powerful marketers, like powerful.
Well, I have been blessed to have an amazing partner in my wife that, I always feel really good that whatever I'm not good at, she is. And at the same time, whatever she doesn't like to do, we really complement each other really well. And you're right. My wife is an amazing marketer. Even though she doesn't like to sell, we always talk about this because she doesn't like to sell, but she loves like marketing and promoting, different products and different businesses in our community. And she does an amazing job. And people are like, "Oh, well, if Jackie says it, then it's good."
Oh, that was my bestie friend, Jackie, that helped me in the beginning. So she's in the school with you.
She's in the school with me, has been since the beginning. Just, we've been doing this thing.
But that makes a big difference. Like when there's the male and the female energy, because, sometimes men might be a little bit more like, you didn't make that 100 push-ups in time. Mm-hmm. So you were 30 seconds over. That's it. And the woman might be like, 30 seconds. You know what I mean? 30 seconds, give him a break. She might
especially if it's mama's boy.
Yeah, exactly. Right. If they give us a lot of attention. But there are times that it's like, no, we said from the beginning that if you don't make that in 2 minutes, you got to do it again. And you did not make it in 2 minutes. So sometimes you need that balance. You can't always be, I mean, I'm not always flexible and bending when it comes to like things in the class. Like when I'm teaching in the class, they see me coming and they're like, oh no, because I'm strict. But at the same time, there's a balance of having fun. Because when you are very strict, like we're in Shitty-O, nobody moves. I mean, nobody moves. I don't care if you're 3, and I don't care if you're 60, because adults break it more than the kids do. I'm like, I just want you to know, just because you're older, I will call you out. You will do, you have to, I'm very strict, but at the end of a class, my goal is that if people come in and they're performing at a 5, when they leave, they're going to be a 9 or a 10.
Yeah. Well, balance is key. I think that you're right. The balance is key, and just about, we're giving just enough praise, but just enough correction.
A lot of
balances
correction.
out, right?
It can't get any better.
It goes back and forth. Well, listen, we're almost here near the end of our time. The hour's gone by very, very quickly. I want you just to share a little bit more about the message of your school and what it is. You talked about martial arts being this vehicle to changing lives, and just kind of bring us in the last couple minutes of what is the message that you're trying to get out in your school.
I think the message is that when we build better human beings, that they go forth and they strengthen their families and their communities. We've had 3 mayors that have been either black belts or students in our school or parents. We've had literally girls that grew up and saved her own father's life with this crazy, infection she had. We've had people that have taken the wrong path in their lives and now they're doing amazing things. But I think the message is that it's not like we're going to build those people so that they can strengthen others. If you see somebody that crosses your path, either they don't feel happy or they've got a financial problem, it's not like, oh, it's so nice that you would help them. No, you should. You should. If you can, you really should. And I think that that's really the purpose of why we're here. It's, I mean, if notice, I wasn't talking about numbers and schools and this and all the bragging points, except the black belts. That's pretty cool. But I think it's really about that this school is making a mark and I know that our school has made a huge difference in the community. And it's not even our school, it belongs to them. Like everybody is, each person that's in our school is so valuable and gives so much, not just to us, to each other. And I think that you said Grand Master Greg Silva recommended me. It's one of the things I really like about him, because he's pretty humble guy for the kind of stuff that he's accomplished. And, he really cares about people's lives, and he helps people build their families and their businesses and better martial artists. And that's really what I appreciate. I don't really care how many championships you won and all the medals you have. And I don't really care. I want to know how you did to make it a better world and people. And my husband that I met, he's unusual. Like when I met him and I said he didn't speak English, but I heard him saying things like La Disciplina and Respecto, and he's talking about all these character things. I'm like, what a cool guy. He's a noble guy and an incredible martial artist. And that's like a really important thing, is you can't have a great message, but if your martial arts is slack, who's going to listen to you? You have to really have a great product, and it's built our family stronger. Like my daughter, Karen, she's a master. She's an incredible instructor. My son, Diego, is a master. And my son, Richard, is a marketer and always looking after our social media. And 2 grandchildren, one's a black belt, one thinks she's a black belt. She can really like run the front. She's almost 10. She can run the computer, register people, let them set equipment, graduations. Oh yeah. So that's, I think awesome. I think it's a great family thing. And like when Diego and I are gone, it will continue.
Yeah. Well, I love the message, because, part of our mission is to build a safer and stronger community through teaching martial arts. And I think that that's really where what we've talked about today, where it all kind of ties in, because we're trying to build up these students and these families within our small community, but for them to have the tools and the skills and the confidence to go out in the community. And then, as you said earlier, when the community is stronger, the surrounding communities get stronger. And that just continues to have that huge ripple effect. And that's, I truly believe that martial arts has that power like no other activity out there. I mean,
I
listen,
agree.
my kids have played every sport and every activity, and I love them all. But martial arts just has something. We were talking
Everything.
earlier about how martial arts and religion have a lot of similarities, and it just brings everything all together. So I appreciate your perspective, and I appreciate you sharing your story with me today. And I just appreciate getting to know you a little bit better and have this hour with you today. So thanks for being here.
And I like all your flames.
Yeah.
We went to, for our anniversary, we went to the restaurant. You know what it was called? La
What was it called?
Flama.
Nice.
Yeah. I was
I love it.
preparing.
I love it. And people ask me if Flame is really my last name. Yes, it's on my birth certificate.
That's a cool name.
Hey, well, Mary Beth, thank you so much for being on the show today. Stick around for just a minute so we can have a quick chat before you go. But for everybody else, thanks for watching us here live. And do me a favor, make sure to share this video and go to Master Motivation Podcast on YouTube and subscribe for more upcoming videos. But other than that, thank you again, Mary Beth, and everybody go out and make it a great day. We'll see you real soon.
We're going to dance it out? We're going to
Dance it out. We will. Here comes the video. Ready?